This may seem like a little silly video, but any last minute mistakes here can make all the difference. I've switched Logic off, and it would make sense now to switch the computer off, but we don't want to do that first. We must switch everything off in reverse order, which means I must switch the speakers off first. If I don't switch the speakers off first, and the computer powers down while they're on, you will get a pop as the signal disappears, basically. So we must switch these off first. So I'm going to go around the back, and I'm going to switch this switch on the back here, and this switch on the back here. I can then turn the brain off, although it doesn't matter whether you turn this off now or right at the end. It can go off at any point, because it's not sending a signal anymore. So I'm just going to switch that off there. Excuse me, picked up a bit there. And the last thing I'm going to do, as you guys well know, is I'm going to go to the Apple at the top left hand corner, and I'm going to actually shut down my computer. I'm going to hit shut down when prompted, and that's now going to power down safely. That is a safe power down. We're going to get no issues there, no pops, no nothing. That's powered down as safely as it can be. And the last thing we need to do before we unplug anything, when that computer actually goes off and the blue screen is gone, not before that, when the blue screen is gone and everything is off entirely, we can then turn it off at the plug. My screen's just gone black, the computer's off, so I can do this and unplug that there. That is the end of your setup. You will end up packing this down with me, but that won't be part of your setup. That's just helping me out for the next person who's going to do their setup. And the last thing that I will ask you at this point, while we're packing down this, is I will ask you a couple of the questions that were on the question sheet that I gave you. Now, throughout the entire setup, you should have provided me with a commentary. A bit like what I've done there. You're describing everything. You're saying what is in front of you, so what the equipment is. You need to name that. You need to tell me what cables you're using, how it's all connected, what you're doing within the setup, and why you're powering things on and off in a particular order. That demonstrates to me that you know what you're doing. That's a distinction level thing. So just to reiterate one more time, if you want to pass, you will need my help at some point. You can ask for help, but just make sure you understand that that means that you're not going to end up with anything more than a pass. If you have my help, it's a pass, end of. If you want a merit, then we're looking at you doing this entirely independently. That's the setup, that's the internal part where we're getting everything to work, and it's the power down. If you do that independently on your own, you will get a merit. For distinction, however, you will need to do both of those things, so an independent setup with a comprehensive sort of talk about what you're doing and why you're doing it, with correctly answered questions at the end. I did have the question asked about what happens if I do all this and this is great and my commentary is fantastic, but I mess up the two questions at the end. To be absolutely honest, you will only get a merit if you mess up your questions. But instead of making you retake the whole thing again, I will just allow you to resit your questions to prove to me that you know what you're talking about.